Peace, peace. What's good? All right. So let me give you all a little backstory um about what this interview is and what this kind of talk is basically. Hold on. Let me turn on the backlight back here. All right. That's ugly. All right. Anyway. All right. So just real quick, all right, thanks for joining me. This is Professor Griff. Of course, this is Sirius Mindz. I'm in the lab making some music, but I got reminded that I had an interview at 6 o'clock, which is now. And this is the interview calling. Yes.
This man and his band. So, the one and only, from Public Enemy, Professor Griff. How are you, boss?
Greetings. I don't know about the boss part, but I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Hey, dude, you're a boss in my world, dude. I love Public Enemy. I love everything about Public Enemy. I thank you so much for coming on the show, and we appreciate you spending a little time with us, man.
Oh, give thanks. Really appreciate you, man.
Well, I just want to tell you that Public Enemy, in my opinion, this is where I kiss your butt, okay, is probably one of the most underrated bands in the history of music. I find that Chuck D is probably one of the most underrated lead men in a band of all time. He does not get the credit, and your band does not get the credit for how much they've done. So I really want to appreciate it. I've seen you guys like 3 times. Each time is an amazing show. People get rocked.
All right.
I want to talk to you. Where does Public Enemy begin? What's the beginning of Public Enemy?
I think the beginning of Public Enemy lies in the spirit of revolution as far as the people are concerned. I think that's where Public Enemy begins. It doesn't begin with beats and rhymes and hip hop. I think hip hop was just used to facilitate a movement that was just basically laying dormant, and some brothers who got together and refused to go along with all the BS that was going on. So we decided to do something about it, and we just said hip hop is that vehicle. So we set it in motion. Some brothers with the same idea, and that was spirited enough to speak truth to power, and we did.
For sure. Now, when Public Enemy started way back, it kind of started with you and Chuck D being taught by Black Panthers in summer school programs. What was that like?
Oh, wow. That was very, very exciting because it was ex-Black Panthers on the campus of Hofstra University there on Long Island. And, we didn't know too much about the struggle. We was kind of figuring we was born in our 60s. So by the time, we got around to understanding the Black Panther Party was quote unquote on its way out. So the ex-Black Panther Party got together and decided to teach summer programs in African drum, language, arts, martial arts, and some social skills and some other stuff. So we took advantage of that. Well, our mom and dads took advantage of that and enrolled us in the program. Myself and Chuck D. And I think Flavor Flav went also 1 or 2 summers.
How long did you guys know each other before you guys started going? Were you guys all together, the same neighborhood, and you guys all went together? Did you guys meet there? How did you guys all meet?
Well, you kind of figure we was like 8, 9, and 10 years old, so it wasn't. It's not like we had cars we can go hang out. Right. It was really it's really our parents what program they decided to put us in. So, and Chuck's mom, being a beautiful radical woman she is, and my mom being one of those pillars in the community, decided this is where they need to be to get that discipline.
That's Wonderful. Tell me about your time in the Army. I know that had a big effect on you. You know, we talk a lot about how the Army right now, I'm 100% believe that the U.S. military is being used as the stormtroopers for the international banking cabal. I think, you know, we've seen a push to where they, you know, through free trade, they've taken away work from both rural and inner city. We don't make anything anymore. So and then obviously the flooding of neighborhoods with drugs. In the 80s, we saw it with crack, and now we're seeing in rural cities and counties with heroin being flooded in by the CIA and all them. And that now they're pushing you into having two jobs, basically. You can either join the military or you can go to jail. What was your experience with that whole situation in terms of being in the military?
Well, my thing is, I don't think at that particular time I looked at it as either I go to the military, stay on the streets, hustle, do whatever, go to jail, or I didn't look at it like that. I had a determined idea, and my determined idea at that particular time is to go in the military and get the training I need to come back out on the streets and set this shit off. That was to be honest with you, that's just what I thought. Some spook who sat by the door kind of stuff was going on in my mind. I never thought in terms of quote unquote defending this country, because this country doesn't defend black people. So I never thought in terms of going to the military to go abroad or to defend America. That just wasn't my thinking.
You wanted to get training too for when you got back to kind of defend yourself and your family and your people. More
so than myself and my family, more so the community. We came up under the tutelage of the Black Panther Party, so we were community oriented. So we thought about the community, and in most cases, we put the community before anything else. So everything was about the community. So I went in to get the training to come back, and then it led to me training the S1Ws and a couple of other organizations. Yeah.
So you know, we on this show Tinfoil Hat, which we're so a blessing that you would come on our little show. You know, we talk a lot about like what is going on in, like, I believe the South Side of Chicago, and you know what's going on in Baltimore right now. That, you know, we see this infighting of guns and you know, with these shootings, drive-bys, all that stuff. But the question is, where in your opinion are all these guns coming from? We hear stories, we've seen gang leaders put videos out on YouTube where they talk about how, like, just vans will just be there with guns full of ammo. And then we kind of see what's going on in Mexico right now, where the cartel.
And that's all that serious guns. You've seen the guns they have.
Where Obama got busted with.
They don't have factories making launch grenades and shit like that. That comes from here.
Yeah.
And over there.
Yeah.
Fast and furious.
And how they happen to show up. Did you, and if, I don't know if you think this, at what point did you realize that maybe there was someone a little higher influencing what's going on in your neighborhoods?
Well, I think early on, when you are under those individuals that have taken their time to study the domestic and the foreign policy of the United States of America, we just didn't go to summer school. Me and Chuck we just weren't in summer school. We were under the tutelage of men and women that wanted to defend the community. And there weren't fly-by-night kind of individuals. The Black Panther Party, most of the members of the Black Panther Party were young. They were studious. Contrary to popular belief, most was in college. And these are the kind of conversations that were taking place every single day. When we went to the African American experience, we affectionately called it the experience. So early on, I knew something else was going on in America. At that particular time, it wasn't necessarily the guns. It was the drugs at that particular time. Because you're talking about the average person making a certain amount of money are not able to afford the sophisticated weapons and the sophisticated drugs that ended up in the black community. There was a gentleman by the name of William Cooper. I'm sure you're familiar with his book, Behold a Pale Horse.
Yes.
William Cooper wrote in his book, the government will encourage the manufacturing and importation of firearms for criminals to use. This is intended to foster a feeling of insecurity, which will lead the American people to voluntarily disarm themselves by passing laws against firearms, which they're doing right now as we speak with these false flags and causing these things to happen in America. The American people are crying out, we need to do away with automatic weapons, but they're using drugs and hypnosis on mental patients in the process called Orion. The CIA inculcated the desire in these people to open fire on schoolyards, movie theaters, and alike. And this is what you're getting now in America. But it was already written about by William Cooper in his book, Behold the Pale Horse. It says the middle class is begging for the government to do away with the Second Amendment.
When you, I don't know if you're familiar with Killer Mike.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
He's a wonderful rapper. He's in Run the Jewels. And he, during these shootings, defended the NRA and the right to bear arms. Now, I don't know if you saw that interview or if you have any opinion on that. What is your take on the First Amendment and where it applies to the black community to versus the United States as a whole?
Well, let's understand this. First of all, I don't necessarily give my opinion on what Killer Mike say, T.I. say, David Banner say, or anyone else. Those men are strong enough and able to stand on their own 2 feet and back their own words up. I rarely do opinion. If I could go into a deeper study or sit at the feet of the elder to extract some wisdom from them, to talk about a valid point, I will do that. I rarely kind of discuss opinions because, as you've heard the saying, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. You understand what I'm saying? So, I don't get into the whole idea of an opinion. As far as the Constitution of the Constitution, excuse me, that was a Freudian slip. If America would stand by her own rules, regulations, laws, Constitution, and amendment to the Constitution, we would be a lot better off. All right. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution is to prevent the government from making laws which respect and establish our religion. Now, if we're an established people, then why is it that we have to have, and we're supposed to be Americans, why is it that we have to have amendments to a constitution that's supposed to protect black people from the beginning? Why would you have to amend something like that? We don't have to amend the Constitution for white Americans, for Italians, for Irish people, for Jewish people, for whomever. Why do we have to do it when it comes to black people?
I agree with that. Now, I want to get into, and I would like to talk some more about public enemy, but I want to get into, is it groups or is the battle between color or is the battle between economic status? When I look at like gangbangers, right, and I think these guys are in a survival mode. Gang, maybe not gangbangers, but in gangs, right? So you have these guys who kind of click together in a desire, because in my opinion, and this might, and I am more than willing to hear your opinion on this and where I could be wrong. If you even look at someone like in an Aryan race gang, right, or in a white supremacy gang, and that name to me is, I hate white supremacists. I don't know how you're illiterate on EBT cards. Date your cousin and you're a white supremacist. But if you take a look at like what their foundation is versus, let's say, someone from a gang member from Compton, I think if you sat them down, you go, why are you doing this? I think what they would say to you is, this is the only hope I have, is to join this group which is in its own weird way, its own little corporation. It's a street corporation. And they join this corporation because it gives them a support group, family, a means to make money, someone who's backed them, someone who's going to tell them it's going to be okay. I know white supremacy is something we don't like, where you're like, okay, I'm better than these people. But maybe if we should get into rednecks, right? Hillbilly rednecks. Like, are they really against each other, or are they really in the same social economic level that they have probably more in common they do than with a Michael Jordan and a Steve Jobs and the guys who run like Elon Musk and all that? Am I really off on that, or is there maybe something to that?
No, I think you're not off, but there is something to it. Now, when you say are they against one another, who are you talking about in particular?
Well, I'm saying, like, if you look at, like, gangbangers versus, let's say, biker gangs, or, I mean, like, I could say white supremacists. I just feel like that takes the conversation, because I don't say white supremacists. If you look at these poor-ass white supremacist people, and they're all talking about white people, but in the reality, they're really just talking about how they feel they have no hope. And they join these groups because they have no hope of any. They look at their status in life, born into a world of shit. Like, like I hear a lot of people talk about white privilege, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist. What I'm saying is, like, when I go, my mother taught in upstate New York, and she would come home talking about how these kids, all white kids, came to school with dirty clothes, dirty underwear, no money for food, drug-addicted parents.
Right.
And when I hear these, and I see these people on TV on MSNBC, and these are all kids who've gone to Ivy League schools, and they're white, and they're talking about white privilege, and I'm like, these kids have nothing, but they get us to fight over these color lines. When I'm like, is it color or is it economic status?
Well, I think it's both, but it's a lot larger than just money and color status. Because the poor whites suffer a lot of times with those of us that are on the level that we're on. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the powers that be, they don't care about the poor whites any old way. But you can't tell that to the poor whites, because the poor whites think they're the ones, quote unquote, superior over everyone else. Are you following what I'm saying? They're misguided.
Yeah, I agree on that.
They're misguided also. So the poor white needs to be taught that the whole idea of this race construct came from a people that's 4 or 5 pay grades above them. And it was something that was put on them, as opposed to them actually understanding and forcing on black people. And this is a real dynamic. And I think poor whites need to understand that they're not running this. It's someone that's controlling the Democratic and Republican Party. And that's the real gang that we should be talking about. Poor whites are suffering also. And these are the same poor whites that misunderstand black people and ignorantly follow Donald Trump. Excuse me. That's another Freudian slip. I'm sorry about that. 46 minus 1. Donald Trump. Yeah. So they got to understand the dynamic in which we're dealing with. We've been set upon one another in this proverbial chess game, not knowing our position on the chessboard. So we need to understand that, and understand it quick, because we're set on one another, and we're set opposed to one another with a serious ignorance, with lies being told. The average poor white don't understand black history or black people. They just go along what they've heard from other people. So when we sit poor whites down and get them to understand the plight of black people, they begin to see, wow, you probably have similar struggles like I do. And this is the thing that the Donald Trumps fear. You understand? While he's waving the flag of white supremacy. And I think it's sad. There's a commonality in us, but then again, there's some distinct differences that we shouldn't fight one another over. All right? And I think that's a very real dynamic, because as soon as we put on some hip hop, we invite whites in, everything seems to be fine. When we open up our culture and invite white people in, everything seems to be fine. It's when other people want to manipulate, come in and control the culture, that's when there's a problem. And we start having issues like cultural appropriation. And this is when we start having issues.
I couldn't agree more, man. You know, I think that Americans, there's some very trusting people in this country, and they get lied to through the media and all that stuff. You know, for the longest time, they blame blacks for crime and all that stuff. While, you know, fucking lizards in suits, we're robbing them blind through fucking Ponzi schemes and all this shit. But they worry about the black crack dealer on the corner. But it's like they got these pharmaceutical companies on every corner in CVS's getting their kids hooked on opium, and then now we're ODing. And like, when you were in the military, I don't know where they sent you to serve, but was there any moment did you go, I mean, what are we doing here? Why are we here? Why am I serving to, I know that you didn't join to protect your country, but under the guise that most people do to protect the country, and we're over here doing stuff that makes no sense. Why are we here? Was there any moment like that for you in the military?
Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons why I got out of the military. It was that moment that I said to myself, okay, why are we fighting? At that particular time, I had a more narrow view of things, because I'm like, why am I, as a black man, fighting for America, and America refused to fight for me or give me any kind of rights. Every single right that I've ever seen black people obtain, we had to fight and bleed in the street for. And even when my dad and uncles came home from a war, they still didn't get benefits. So it's like, why am I going to fight? Fight who for what? So it's like, no. So I started looking at different alternative means and methods, man. I'm saying to myself, this is not going to work. This is not going to work unless black people have some land that we can call our own, so we can carve out our own destiny. This whole idea of fighting America's wars, and we come back and we treat it worse than animals in the streets of America. That's not going to work at all. So I got it early on. I went to the military early. I got it early in the military, and I got out. That's the reason why we formulated one of the reasons why we formulated Public Enemy.
So I wanted to, do you have a question about
after your dad came back from the military and you told him you were going to join, did he think it was a good idea?
Oh, definitely didn't tell my dad I was going to join. No, that was not a conversation. And my dad had passed away prior to me going into the military. So
you went in there, he kind of told you to go in there and get the skills out. You instantly knew that was a goal. Dad
never gave me any instructions like that. Not at all.
He didn't tell his dad. So I want to get into, because I don't know about you, but I think one of the greatest times in music was the 80s, or more particularly the end of the 80s leading up to the 90s, early 90s. There was an explosion in rap. Well, it was called rap now it's called hip-hop. I don't know if there's any difference in your view, but, you know.
Well, it's my culture. I think I should know the difference. See, the problem here is we invite people into the culture and they shit on the culture. But I understand your position. You are a host and you're doing an interview, and what you have to do is pull this information out of me. So I respect that. And there is a difference between rap and hip hop. But let's go. Let's talk.
Dude, I'm saying, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just asking the questions that I would like to ask, that I think people would like to hear on the show. In your opinion, what would be the difference between rap and hip hop?
Well, is not my opinion. This is something that we set in motion some time ago, being part of this culture called black culture and the subculture called hip hop. There is a difference between rap and hip hop. Hip hop is higher infinite power, healing our people. Hip hop serves as the umbrella. Up under the umbrella of this thing that we call hip hop are 4 fundamental elements in which we've added on the 5th element, which is knowledge of self. So it's breaking, break dancing, you might call it, all right? Drumming, MC, and DJing. So yeah, so this is a subculture, all right? This is a subculture that we call hip hop, and this is how we pass on vital information from father to son, mother to daughter, all right, and information that we need to pass on from the different communities that are that Black people have.
So when we look at the hip hop culture, I'm gonna you fill in what you think is it, but when we go from 80s, which I grew up on Motown. My father, while everyone else was listening to Led Zeppelin, I was listening to the Temptations. My father loved Motown early, so I very quickly went into loving Run DMC and all those early rap stars. But then we saw transformation from what was early rap, which I felt was like uplifting rap, to what we see was crime rhyme stuff. Maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm overstepping my point, but what happened in there? Where do we go from one way to the other?
Greedy white banksters came in that manipulated and tore the culture apart and put a price tag on it and put a label on it. That's what happened.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think it was at the highest level that the people I think there was, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, and I have no problems with that there was a process in which uplifting music was pushed aside, crime rhyme was pushed, privatized prisons, and then flooding with drugs. And all that was done purposefully, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, and maybe I'm overstepping myself.
It's all right.
To destroy the Black family unit.
Exactly. I was getting to that. They looked at an opportunity to now finish the job, so to speak. And every president that took office when hip hop was alive and well, from his outstart with Reagan, even prior to him, to right now, every president that have taken office had a special agenda to deal with Black people. And some of the things that may have came up, i.e. Colin Kaepernick, you think may have nothing to do with hip hop, but it has a lot to do with hip hop. And it has everything to do with destroying Black people and destroying the Black family.
Have there been people in the... I always say, man, that with groups, sometimes the killer is within. Yeah. And that as part of it. Now, obviously, the executives, the politicians, they're all white people. But are there people complicit in helping within the Black community of helping get this message across?
There are Black people that are complicit in the destruction of Black people, of course. Yeah, they're called Negroes. Shit. They're called coons. Fuck. They're called sellouts and traitors. That's what they're called.
You know, we've had Rick Ross on our show a long time, the original Rick Rack, the real Rick Ross, and I enjoyed talking to him. But as I do this show more and more, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful for him because I appreciate anybody who comes on the show, but sometimes I wonder why this man is kind of revered when he is part of this process to flood the inner cities with crack cocaine. We're at the point where he's saying he's making $1 million a day doing it. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Well, my thing is, you're absolutely correct. I think Black people went through a period in hip hop where everybody wanted to be Italian, where everybody wanted to. Come on, now you laugh, but it's part of the history of hip hop. Everybody had Italian names, and everybody was part of the mob and the mafia, and everybody wanted to kill people, and everybody wanted to bring drugs in. You understand what I'm saying? We was just imitating and looking at America and what America was doing, because we thought that was the way. So hip hop emulated it to the point where we ended up in jail, and it gave birth to the Rick Rosses. And we have to understand that black people don't own a goddamn thing in America, much less a fucking plane and a boat to bring in some drugs from somewhere. Help me out if I'm wrong. Help me out if I'm wrong.
No, I think we've seen that the CIA is completely complicit in it. The CIA, both in my opinion, runs the drug trade, and they run the law enforcement that's supposed to quote unquote stop the drug trade. They get the drugs into the country. They sell the drugs to finance their black ops, and then they arrest the drug dealers as a show of, look, we're trying to stop it. And then they fill their own prisons with the people that were selling their product. They make $1 the whole way out. I mean, how do we see in Mexico right now with basically the government of Mexico bending over to these drug cartels? Who's supplying the drug cartels with guns? Who's shipping how do you get drugs into the country if you're supposed to be at the number one defense in the world that we spend so much money on? How they get in? Well, because the people who are supposed to protect us from the drugs are the ones making money on the drugs.
Right, exactly. So now here we are caught in between. How do you do that? So where do you go? What do you do? Or do you, like a Bumpy Johnson, take advantage of what's going on in America and say to yourself, you know something? I got to go for what I know. I got to be able to survive. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, like, it goes back to what we were talking about. It's like, how do you feed your family? How do you
imagine back then you used to sell weed and you went to jail? Yesterday I went to that little cafe. Everyone's smoking weed. There's people in jail right now
that
are caught for weed cases, and I'm literally smoking weed in this cafe. Expensive as fuck, bougie as fuck. There's people wasting $80 on like a gram of weed, and no one gives a fuck about jail or people in jail doing hard time for bullshit while we're all there smoking, acting like, oh, this is the new cafe type of shit.
Well, I said as soon as they legalize marijuana, the second step after you legalize it, let's go to the prisons and let the people out that you locked up for having a couple of roaches in their ashtray in their car. Non-violent offenders.
I don't think anyone should be in jail for anything other than violence and stealing. I mean, like, you know, like, and high-end stealing, too. Like, people who steal. Yeah, well, dude, I root for bank robbers. You know, I'm like, get it. But I'm talking about people steal, like, people's, like, retirement. You know? Like, suit motherfuckers. That's what I'm talking about. Who should be in jail for that. You should not be doing, I mean, like, drugs and prostitution are poor people crimes. Because we said it here on the show before, we have stuff in California called sugar dating. I mean, it's so prevalent that they advertise it on billboards. And who are those? Those are rich girls. Those are girls from rich people who are basically hooking.
Right.
And they will go to jail.
Well, my thing is, I think the number one violation is kidnapping and rape. The theft, yep. Yeah. You just have no sympathy for me. Yeah, if you molest a child and that kind of thing, I just have no. Yeah.
We're going to get into that too because I think there's a lot of this prevalent. I want to talk into so we see this. I think it's so. I think towards the end of the '80s, early '90s, we see a kind of shift. And I thought, like, I remember when I saw Britney Spears on Rolling Stone magazine, and I go, "That's not a good sign, dude. That's a sign that we're losing art, in my opinion. Maybe, you know, Professor Griff, you might say that happened before that, and I'm open-minded to that as well. But that's a sign that corporate media is completely controlling the arts. And as a member of Public Enemy, did you see a shift in maybe the amount of traction that you were getting in radio, moving from your positive message to this crime rhyme stuff with NWA and stuff like that? Was there a shift?
Well, there was a shift, but I think you're looking at it through a different lens than we were looking at it.
Okay.
When we started to see the shift, we started noticing the fact that we were being played more, but we're being locked out of our availability and our opportunities to go into the prisons. Okay, so we got more popular on the radio with the people, then we got less popular with brothers and sisters that was locked up in prison. Less access to the cultural centers around the country, less access to the real people in the street. So yeah, it was some like a give and take. We never thought that the whole of America would embrace some black dudes from Long Island, New York, speaking truth to power. We never thought that. Not at all. Our first tour we went on was with the Beastie Boys. It was in front of all white audiences. So to think white America would come around now, and then we started to notice it wasn't the young whites, it was the older whites that didn't want Public Enemy's message out. So we said, okay, now there's a difference. Because Johnny, Allen, your homeboys had Ice-T on the wall, had Ice Cube on the wall, NWA on the wall. You understand what I'm saying? Right along with Public Enemy. So we said, oh, okay. We see how this thing is working out. So it was the powers that be, all right, that did Public Enemy in. Like, oh, okay.
Did you see it start to change though? Where you start getting, and Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. are obviously wonderful artists, but did you see a shift to them and a kind of moving away from Public Enemy, or were you included in that whole thing?
No, I think we were cut from a different cloth. You're talking about now that generation that came behind us. When you talk about the Biggies and the Tupacs, you understand what I'm saying? So we were the ones to usher in this whole idea of conscious rap, conscious hip hop, consciousness. Although we were working hand in hand with everyone, a lot of people that just weren't quote unquote conscious, they just told real stories through their rhymes. You understand what I'm saying? But when Public Enemy came along, we pointed to organizations, we pointed to books, we pointed to authors, we pointed to movements, we pointed to local, domestic situations and foreign situations. So Public Enemy was had some well-rounded conscious information that we were putting in the music and we talked about outside of the music.
What was your experience like? What was it like to be in Public Enemy at the height of its fame?
Dangerous.
How was it dangerous?
You mean to tell me, man, here we are, some brothers from Long Island, New York, speaking truth to power, talking right to skinheads, right to the Klan, right to white America. Man, come on, man. Come on.
And then you had Flavor Flav, and he was kind of like different than you, right? You guys had different vibes or different energy. You know, he was smoking crack. I mean, was it weird? Was that hard?
Nah, that wasn't weird and wasn't hard, simply because we know what white America has done to black people, and we know that was Flavor Flav is the end result. So white America have always put drugs in the black community. I could go through the history of music right now and name 12 jazz artists right off the top of my head that ended up on drugs. You understand what I'm saying? So if it wasn't the jazz artists, it was the basketball, football, and baseball players. If it wasn't them, it was the hip hop heads. So it's always been there. So when I seen it in my own group, I was like, okay, this is something we have to deal with internally and deal with it. So it wasn't hard. I knew what it was, but we had energy, we had time, we were younger. It was new, and we didn't quite understand everything at that particular time, including how to deal with Flavor Flav.
The first time I saw Public Enemy, it was early 2000s. It was at the House of Blues in Los Angeles, and it was such an interesting dynamic because you guys were just slaying the room. And then there's a moment in the concert where kind of Flavor Flav gets some time on his own, and he gets to do his own thing.
Yeah.
And he just came out with a statue of O.J. Simpson and was asking everybody to forgive O.J. because O.J. had rushed for mad yards in the NFL, and he was kind of it was just a different vibe from the rest of the concert. Was there a moment where you're like, where kind of internally there was a discussion of like, are we going to let Flavor Flav be Flavor Flav? Should we do any kind of intervention? Because like as a comedian, I'm going to be honest with you, we have to do interventions on comedians for substance abuse all the time, including stuff that's been done to myself. I've had a coke problem, speed, drinking. I've had interventions where I've had to get out of my own way. Was there any moment that you guys felt like you had to do that?
Oh man, there was 4 or 5 of those moments. Some of them end up violent. Some of them end up, bitter feelings to this day. You know that saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me?
Yeah.
That's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. Words always harm you. Right now, to this day, Flavor Flav probably hates my guts for what was said and what was done at that particular period in Public Enemy. Us having to deal with the whole drug thing, having to intervene. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of times people don't look at that as help. They look at that as you trying to destroy them. And that's not the case, man. So it had to be some tough love. But I'm hated for that right now as we speak by a few members of Public Enemy.
Was it, I mean, like, I've got a couple notes from the gentleman that's nice enough to hook us up, and he was talking about the moment that, you were asked to leave the band. That had to be a hard situation because you've worked so hard to help build this thing up. And, Flavor Flav is doing Flavor Flav, and you've been kicked out for, I believe it was some comments you made. What was that moment like?
Wow. Yeah, that's a very serious question, man. That moment was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Yeah, I saw a traitor. I saw a traitorous act at that time. It was just like, wow, these cats don't really understand what this is really about. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
We came up at a time where it was like, if we sell out, we get the hell out. This is all for the people and not for us. So to get rid of me, the spirit and the driving force to it, I was like, wow, this has never been about being some popular rappers. That shit is corny, man. This shit was about the human family, including brothers like you. This was about our people, man. This wasn't about being popular, getting money, getting chicks, getting drugs. Yeah, this was about doing something for the human family. So to kick me out of the group when all I did was tell the truth, yeah, I thought that was a traitorous violation, man. It's like, wow, for real?
I believe it had some comments with white people in caves. We won't get into the specifics of that.
No, well,
That and like when you said that, was that the first time you said that, or is that been said a bunch of times, and then for some reason now it's like it blew up, and you're like, why is it now? As a comedian, I say a lot of shit, and I believe as an artist, we should be able to express everything we want, and everybody's for the First Amendment, even though that's about the government arresting you for protesting government shit. But the freedom of expression, we're all for freedom of expression until we hear something we don't like. And I think that's really stupid. Like, I'm an Armenian, okay?
Right.
And I live in LA.
Right.
And every day there's someone making jokes about what assholes Armos are. I will defend their right to say these things until to the end of death, until I take my last breath. Because it's not about people. It's not about freedom of expression of things I like. It's actually about defending things I don't like. That's when you have to defend them. So this moment that people were coming after you, was that something you said all the time, and why are we getting mad right now? Or was that
No. This is part of the history and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It's not something that Professor Griff made up. And to answer your question directly, I've said that 80 times before to all kind of magazines and all kind of people, black, white, whomever, because it's the truth. And I've asked people that if you don't like the truth, then sit down and dialogue about what was said, as opposed to you sicking your lapdogs on me. And some of the lapdogs are black. So you mean to tell me you attack me for saying the same fucking thing that the Discovery Channel was saying today? I said white people in their early history, right, used to drink out of the skulls of their dead, used to mate with dogs, used to have sex with animals in the caves of West Asia, which they now call Europe, in the Caucasus Mountains. That's not something Professor Griff made up because I hate white people. That's something that's in the history books, written by white people. I didn't make that up. Now, why would you take that and use that to try to destroy Public Enemy when all I did was tell the truth? And I think I got my last $100 bill in my wallet right now. I'll pay it to anybody that want to call me and prove me wrong. My phone number is 678-557-2919. This is not some shit I made up. This is actual facts. But because I said it in an interview that some black man, Negro, wanted to repeat to the Village Voice, and some weak-kneed Negroes in Public Enemy couldn't defend because they fucking cowards, that ain't on me. That's on them. They got to check their heart, not mine. I spoke the truth. And I speak the truth to this damn day.
I've seen this in comedy, dude. We had a gentleman say some off-color comments, and all these comics who were supposed to be these, who tweet after tweet railing against political correctness are calling for these people's jobs. And it's just like, and there's like, well, you know, it's like when LeBron James talking about freedom of speech, and then he defends the Chinese government, you know. And listen, dude, I mean, the NBA has told us we have to support women, which I do, but then they're running to take it in the ass from China, who's killed more baby girls than everybody ever lost in any war in history. I mean, it's like we see these picking and choosing of when it's cool to be pro-freedom of speech, and then when a dollar sign is being fucked with, people run. Now, you know, I love Public Enemy, and I love you having you on. I still follow, you know, Chuck D, but I see shit like that going on right now in comedy right now. We see political correctness and people being taken out for saying shit that even though we have something with the crazy rich Asian cast getting mad at a joke a guy made on a podcast, when all of them are millionaires and all that stuff. They use it to kind of try to relate to the base of their fan base, and it's kind of sad because everybody wants freedom of expression until they get a little uncomfortable. It's like, no, that's when you need freedom of expression. We see it right now with Julian Assange being arrested right now, and no one in the media is defending this guy in the media for exposing war crimes that the U.S. military did.
Right. So I'm saying to you, when are we going to be brave enough to stand up for the truth? I am one individual out of a long history of individuals in this country, both black and white, that have stood up and told the truth, and I got to pay for it with my life. I got to get shot at. I got to get poisoned. I got to get destroyed in the music industry, and they use black people to do this. And still to this day, no one will say to me face to face, man to man, what you said about white people back then, you were absolutely wrong, and here is the proof. When someone does that, I'll apologize and I'll be quiet.
I think everything you said is 100% true. I mean, 100% true.
I didn't make the history, man. I just told the history. I got Michael Bradley's books in my library. I've got other people's books that tell the history of white people in Europe in their early beginnings. I watched the movie Quest for Fire. I've done research. I've sat at the feet of elders. I've studied this, and I watched the History Channel and the Discovery Channel. So if you want to blame somebody, let's blame them. But I'm going to continue to tell the truth, regardless, whether it costs me my life. And you know something? It just might cost me my damn life. But I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Yeah. I ain't afraid to die in that hill, dog. You know?
I'm good.
Here's what I want to say. So we see, in my opinion, and I understand it could represent the streets, but I see a change in music from uplifting to gangster rap, criminal culture, the degrading of women, the romanticizing of being a thug, dumbing down listeners. That's systematic, right?
Of course, yes. It's by design. It's systematic. It's systemic, yeah.
And and at the very top, now we're seeing in hip hop right now, Illuminati, dark art symbols, what they used to talk about metal, the worshiping of Satan, we had a shot the devil, all that stuff. You're now starting to see it rampant in hip hop. A lot of these young guys are just doing all sorts of dark art, Black Cube of Saturn imagery in their music. I don't know if it's always been like that, but it seems very. I feel like hip hop right now is where metal was in the '80s, where it's like a lot, like Beyonce. We see a lot of dark art. I mean, Lady Gaga is more pop than hip hop. We see she's got dark art symbolism. What's going on with that?
I think it's always been there, but it's been controlled and manipulated by those that was casting the spells and manipulating and controlling our spirit and our minds. This is why they didn't want punk rock on the scene, because punk came along and broke all of that up. Hip hop came along and broke all of that up and started to expose it. So then they had to get a control back over it, and then they started manufacturing some of these rappers and paying them ugu globs of money to push a certain agenda. And you can see right now on the surface what agenda they're pushing. Now, a lot of times, a lot of the artists that you mentioned may not have been aware that they were being used. Jay-Z and Beyonce, I'm not sure if they was aware that they were being used early on. Kanye West, I'm not sure. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of these artists, Lady Gaga and these other artists, I'm not sure if they was even aware of the demonic, satanic agenda that was going on in the music early on. But when it started to become exposed and we made them aware of it, at that particular point, they had a decision to make. And some of them chose to ride with Satan.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Who, in your opinion, is the Illuminati and the New World Order?
I mean, for me to sit here on this program and say to you, the Illuminati is Mr. So-and-so and so-and-so that works at so-and-so on the second shift, I'd be bullshitting you. The Illuminati, the illuminated ones, as they call themselves, it's a secret society. You understand what I'm saying? Operating behind the educational system, political system, the religious system that's operating in the shadows. We don't know their names. Now, we may know some of the families. We may know the overall agenda, but the individuals, I can't tell you that. It's not like I go to the goddamn meetings. I can't be part of the Illuminati. You can't either.
Well, I just got something on Instagram asking me to. You ever get those things on Instagram where they're like, "Would you like to join the Illuminati?" I go,
"Yes."
You're not much of a secret society if you're asking me to join on Instagram in my DMs.
Right. You know? Or you're getting a letter in the mail asking to join the Illuminati. That's not secret and that's not hidden. No, that's some garbage. It's some play stuff.
Well, tell me now. We don't know who runs the world. I did a podcast. Really, I think the running the world is like organized crime, where there's the Italian, organization. There's the Irish, and they all have their turf. Okay, and they work together when it's mutually beneficial, and then they don't work together or they go to war when they have a problem with each other. I think there's multiple groups that all work together, whether it's the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the 13 bloodlines, black nobility. There's all these different groups. There's 3 different cities in the world that are part of no actual country. They're their own sovereign area. Those are the Vatican, the City of London, which very few people know. And then there's one more, and there's always an argument on where it is. Is it D.C. or is it the UN? I was told it was the UN. The UN is not part of the United States. It's its own sovereign territory. It pays no taxes and follows no laws. Think about it. All of their diplomats have diplomat immunity, which allows them basically to do anything they want, almost up until including murder, and not be charged. Do you know anything about these areas?
Yes, of course. I wrote about them in my book, The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop. And then I reiterated it in my book, Symbology. And it talked about the 3 city-states, which is the Vatican, which is London, and of course, which is the District of Columbia. Not Washington, D.C., but the District of Columbia, D.C.
Okay. Oh, yeah, and then they always act like D.C. is, oh, man, we need to be a state. You're like, oh, you don't want to be a state, really. You're just kind of saying that so that people feel bad. And in reality, you're just your own sovereign area.
Right, exactly. So, of course, the UN in that area in New York has that status also. But the 3 city-states are the ones I just mentioned, the Vatican, London, and the District of Columbia.
So the City of London, the Vatican, and D.C., all, in my opinion, the UN's in there, each represents a different thing. And what it represents is the Vatican represents religion. The City of London represents banking, money. And then the UN and the DC represents what? Military.
Right.
Those are the 3 ways you control everybody. And that's how they use it. Now, I don't know if they are all run by the same people, but they all have an obelisk outside of it, which is almost like a symbol to say, hey, this is our area. Don't fuck with us. But they all represent, like, nobody knows about the City of London.
Well, I think they do. Like, we shouldn't say no one. Probably no one. No one with the Western mindset truly knows about what goes on in the City of London.
The City of London is so crazy because the Queen Elizabeth has to. She has to ask for permission to enter the City of London. And that chick is super high on the power scale.
I'm not.
Well, obviously not. She has to ask for permission.
For her, exactly. Then who do you got to be?
Right, exactly. Who she have to ask?
She has to ask the mayor of the City of London. Now, there's London. There's the city. There's London, and then within London, there is the City of London.
Right.
It is not part of England. It is its own sovereign nation.
Right.
For Queen Elizabeth, she has to ask permission to go into the City of London. Like, that to me, all the banking's there.
Right.
And this is how they slave. This is how they basically control us through this fractional reserve banking, where they make up, it's like the IRS is not part of the U.S. government.
And they said Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah. It's basically an independent company that's part of the Treasury, which is part of the Federal Reserve, which is nothing's federal about the Federal Reserve. It is a control mechanism to control us.
Exactly. This is one of the reasons why I'm headed to Cambridge. I'm headed to the Boston area on November 5th, because to know all of this and then to sit idly by and act like it's not happening, it's like, no, silence is no excuse. Silence is no excuse. If you know better, then you do better. And I'm just sounding the alarm, letting people know These are the things that's going on domestically, and here's what's going on the foreign scene. And we have to take some responsibility as to what's going on.
So let me ask you something. We recently saw, with the Colin Kaepernick thing, and I believe that what he did was his right of freedom of expression. He has the right to do that.
Right.
Corporations and jobs also have the right to be like, we don't want our employees doing that. But let's take a step away from that, and let's look at like who the owners are. Let's take a look at who Nike is. As Nike puts out, this Kaepernick campaign, and it's like, believe in something, even if it costs you everything. And you're like, that's great, Nike. But you have sweatshops in which you pay third world children and women and men no money to make your sneakers, that you turn around and charge children in the inner city $200 to buy. At what point is where's this righteousness when it comes to that? And then you take a look at who the owners of these NFL teams are, and what they are. They're bankers. They're big pharmaceutical. They're oil men. They're white.
Yeah, they go to massage parlors now.
They love to get us fighting all the time. So, in my opinion, the NFL to them is their side bitch. They're making that's peanuts to them.
Yep.
Because these guys are making real money in God's gold, oil, drug, sex trafficking.
Yep. Exactly.
So go on. Sorry about that.
No. I was agreeing with you exactly, because these are the same things that I wrote in my book.
And we just have to. They get, Kaepernick. I respect everything he said. Because we were happy. So interesting, Professor, is how all these people were so upset about cops shooting unarmed black men, and we should be. We should be mad at cops shooting anyone who's unarmed that isn't a threat.
Right.
Okay? But yet these are the same people who are suddenly telling you, we got to give up our guns. Thus, the only people having them are the cops.
Right.
Who are shooting the unarmed people.
Right. No, that's definitely not going to go down. That's not happening. Not on my watch. No, we're not giving up.
But
No.
to bring this all up is that now we've seen Jay-Z, the guy who was completely supporting Kaepernick, now joining the owners of these NFL teams, signaling that it's all over, that the protests are done. Because Jay-Z says it's done. Why is Jay-Z joining these rich white billionaires and trying to tell everybody the controversy is over? What was your thoughts on that, Professor?
I got a whole bunch of thoughts about that, man. But I did an entire show. I'm just trying to figure out, what did they offer him to make a statement like that, to take a position like that? I wonder. Something it basically says, the golden rule. He who has the goal makes the rule.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like he who calls the tune normally is the one that makes the instruments and everything else. And they don't allow anyone to play. He leader of black people, on which Jay-Z is not our leader. You can't ask 10 people if Jay-Z's your black people's leader. Absolutely not. Jay-Z makes music, period. End of the story, ex-drug dealer. So it's like, come on, man. Nah, you're no one to determine when the protest stops or starts, Jay-Z. No, but you're doing white people's bidding, and we understand your position, man. So basically, you the first one we got to come see when this shit jump off.
So, later on through document release, and I'm going to get back to Jay-Z, but I wonder, is Jay-Z along the lines of Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, where later on we see documents coming out that they're basically FBI assets, and that, Jesse Jackson was there on the balcony when Martin Luther King gets shot, and you see the picture, and I'm not trying to laugh at it, but it's like everybody else is ducking except for Jesse Jackson.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think he was complicit. He was complicit along with the United States government, and I think like Jay-Z is complicit in helping to destroy the fiber of black people by working with these billionaires to set himself up in a position to keep us blind, deaf, and dumb. Jay-Z know exactly what he's doing.
And there's a lot of things right now, like, I mean, we've been talking about these Illuminati symbols that we've been seeing a lot now in these videos. I get sent all the time, like, in these videos, and, like, now, do you believe that artists take, like, an oath to the Illuminati or whatever group it is? We see their behaviors change. Like, sometimes their tattoos look different, you know? I mean, we see Jay-Z quoting Aleister Crowley. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think one thing is they cannot be a part of the Illuminati, but I think they're carrying out the agenda. And I think Jay-Z, Beyonce, Kanye, and the rest of them know that they're being used, especially now. This is almost 2020. We've put together enough material, and we've given them enough material to let them know and to make them awake and aware of what's going on. Everything from Adam Weishaupt right on down to what's going on with Trump. Jay-Z and Kanye West, Beyonce, and the rest of them, they know already. They consciously know what they're doing now. I think before they were doing it out of ignorance. But I think they consciously know what's going on now.
Now, you've seen where, I don't know if you know this or have been following, like, former NFL running back Larry Johnson has been going really hard on the influence of the Illuminati in sports and how people like LeBron James are being used as pawns and playing the game, you know, showing up for Hillary Clinton and supporting her when Bill Clinton signed the 1994 crime bill that made a nugget of crack basically the same offense as a helicopter of cocaine. And you should know about helicopters of cocaine because that's where they were shipping all the coke into, was Arkansas for the whole Iran-Contra affair.
Right, exactly.
And now he's meeting with her. Do you see it being in pro sports where you have to have a certain degree of athleticism and skill to be able to get to? Do they reach them too?
Of course. I mean, listen, these people have spun a very sophisticated web. And it's almost like, have you ever heard of the book called The Octopus? Their tentacles reach out in every sphere of people activity. So LeBron James is not safe. The Michael Jacksons were never safe, regardless of how much money you have. These people are not safe. Once they're done with them, they'll find some scandal about them and destroy them also.
You see that? I also see that when these guys kind of play ball, you know, within, you know, when you, like in YouTube had scandals where they have basically, you know, corporate America titty porn on there, and the videos and the channels don't get taken down. I think they leave them up there because they follow the people who comment, and they follow their comments, and they start sniffing into these guys' lives, and they start finding out these guys could be assets, and then they set them up in certain positions, and they blackmail them into playing ball. Do you think that happens in music, where it's like Michael Jackson? There's some people don't think he's a pedophile. I think he was. My girlfriend worked on his music videos. They found Tiger Beat magazines in his green room. Do you think they use this to basically pick who's going to blow up, who's going to be huge, because they have dirt on them so they can do their bidding?
Well, yeah, it's just like the history and the story of the Illuminati. They'll have things on you to keep you in check, plain and simple. I mean, it's not new. It's an old trick. And I don't know why we fell for the trick. Maybe because we think Michael Jackson and other people, R. Kelly and other people, are so important that, you know, they're beyond reproach, and they're not. And the Illuminati, these people that work and carry out the agenda of the Illuminati, they know exactly what they're doing and who to choose. They wouldn't choose anybody like me because my spirit won't allow it. I'm too much of a radical. I'm too militant. I'm too headstrong. I don't have the propensity to be used. I don't have that character.
Let me ask you something, man. Do you think that almost everybody we've had former CIA, we've had reporters who have done major studies on the CIA, and they're like, in this day and age, in any business at the highest level, they're all CIA assets?
To answer that very forthrightly and directly, there's a certain oath that all of these alphabet boys take. So it's a little bit more than you just filling out an application and you joining the CIA or the FBI. That's a brotherhood. And we have to understand what the brotherhood is about, if you catch my drift.
I do.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Look at that. Yep. Look at all that. Damn. God. So there's symbolism. There's everything in. There's so much symbolism, whether it's in music videos. We see it in symbolism in our dollar bills, symbolism in logos. It's everywhere, right? It's crazy. I see pedophile symbols in so much shit. It's unbelievable. I saw one today down in Hermosa Beach. There's one that this rapper has something coming out. The eyeballs are the symbolism that the FBI says for boy love.
Oh, man. Yeah.
What do you think about that all that trap music they got going on with everybody tatting their faces and all that promethazine and all that vaping? Is that part of the government trying to push it for kids to do the same shit as in the 90s?
I don't think it's necessarily government. It's just some ignorant ass motherfuckers thinking. I don't know what the hell they thinking. You understand what I'm saying? I'm sure the government has its hand in there somewhere, because the mere fact that you calling your music trap is trapping you.
Yeah. Who comes up with these names?
They'll sit there and they'll say they talk about selling drugs and all this. And I'm like, you're kind of incriminating yourself when you do get caught with it.
And then they have to rat out their people.
Exactly, but right? you got to understand they bringing these songs into court now, and they're typing out lyrics and they're transcribing stuff, and it's like, wow. So you said you didn't kill these 5 people and bring in this boatload of drugs, but you said it on your song.
Yep.
And you did it, and you played it out in your video, and it's like, come on, man. Come on.
We have we've seen lately a lot of rappers dying, getting shot, killed. Back in the day, obviously everybody knows about Tupac and Biggie, and that happened. But lately, it seems like there's a lot going on. And then there's a lot of talk about, if you go off the reservation, meaning if they set you up, they pick you, they give you all the pipeline to the best studios, the best, best, well, not even that, just the best, the artists of mix all your music, the best everything, the best opportunity to get exposure, whether it's on MTV or whatever magazine it is. And then eventually you see people trying to go off the reservation, do their stuff independently. And there's a bunch of people who try to do that, and then they get off. What do you think is going on with that?
They've lived out their usefulness. They've been targeted. They've been fingered. They've been called in, whether they made the deal or not. And then they live out their usefulness, and they have no more use for these people, so they do away with them. Michael Jackson and the rest of them.
Yeah, like the what's his name, that Tom Cruise movie, American Made. Remember that they just save these guys up as little bank accounts.
Right.
They go and take their money and arrest them. And look, we got somebody.
Right, exactly. Same trick.
Now you see some assassination of people who've no longer been with us. We've seen going around about MLK and him being audio of him laughing while a woman's getting raped. I'm like, what is that about, man? You saw the same thing with Gandhi now, how there's been this push because Gandhi likes to bang hookers. It's all my theory that they demonize sex so they can blackmail people. When you heard about, I don't know if you heard about how they said there's this tape of MLK out there. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I've heard it, and but those kind of tricks are you see, I'm used to the tricks, even with the deep fake things that they have out there now. See, I'm so used to the trick, I don't fall for it anymore. You're not going to get me to believe that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was doing X, Y, and Z while somebody was getting raped, or Gandhi was screwing prostitutes. Like, I think it's the people that are setting these things in motion, that are putting these things and trying to manipulate and control the present by controlling the past, and by default ended up controlling everyone's future. So I don't fall for the tricks anymore. I understand what they are, and they're tricks, and they're old tricks, and they've been used for a long time. It's like, I loved women all my life. There was a rumor several years ago that Professor Griff was gay. I'm like, okay. There was a rumor that I was cloned. There was a rumor that I'm serious. So who you're talking to now is the cloned Professor Griff. I don't fall for the tricks, man. I don't fall for the tricks.
What are your thoughts on clones? We hear that a lot with rappers. We hear it a lot with, like, everyone's Dave Chappelle's a clone. You know, well, you never hear the theory that, like, Kevin Hart crashes his. So Jack Black is talking about how Jumanji did so good that they're going to do a special, and that even if everybody on there didn't want to do it, they would kidnap them, kill them, and clone them. And now you have this thing with Kevin Hart where he crashes his car in the store. He's so fucking nuts, right? And like now, like Kevin Hart, he's in that Taylor Swift level where you're not really a person anymore. I mean, you are, but you're a brand, and your brand is bigger than you are.
Right.
You're making a lot of people a lot of money. It's like, why did Hollywood get away from super fat actors? Because they would build this brand up, and these guys would have heart attacks, and now they'd have to build it up. So now they went Jack Black fat, which is like kind of skinny fat.
Or they try to get skinny. Every fat rich person.
And it never worked. Nobody liked skinny Jonah Hill, right? But you see this thing about, all these videos, like all these stories about Kevin Hart banging all these chicks, and it's like, you're a family brand. Like, people go there with their family to watch your movie. And now all this crazy stuff, like, where's Kevin Hart? Oh, he's fine now. He's walking. But where all of it? Do you believe that they get clones of people?
I believe some people are cloned. Yes, I'd be lying if I say I didn't, quote unquote, believe that. And when I say believe, I don't like to use the term belief. I have studied the science on how they do it and the progress that they have made. I don't think the average person is being cloned.
But like, we've seen pictures of rappers, and they come out and their tattoos aren't the same.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. Now, body doubles, cloned, no.
Interesting.
I mean, but that's inevitable, right? I mean, China's already messing with hybrid.
Exactly.
Stuff. I mean, it's not happening now. It's going to happen.
I mean, it's you don't get the super wow from it anymore. It's almost like if you do any degree of studying, then you know what it is.
So we've seen the CIA take out giant political leaders, in particular in the black community. It is your belief, and I'd love to hear a little about how you believe that it's possible, or it's your belief that MLK was killed in an assassination ritual.
Yeah, of course, in an assassination ritual. It's not something I believe. It's something I can prove. It's way beyond. Okay. It's way beyond belief. There were players several years ago that were still alive that we could have talked to disprove this information that, it was just a lone gunman. Shit, you can watch the average Discovery Channel show. Fuck, tell you that. The ID channel will tell you that. That's not complicated anymore. It's not confusing anymore. The cat is out of the bag. The United States government already admitted to complicity in the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Why is that? That's not even a conversation anymore. The cat's been out of the bag. If people are still wondering how Dr. Martin Luther King died, then yeah, good fucking luck, man. You way behind the fucking 8 ball.
So there's a whole, the story goes is that Quincy Jones allegedly, I gotta say allegedly for some reason, but allegedly asked Tupac to join him in a homosexual ritual. Tupac turned him down, and that marked him for death. And he comes out of the jail with an album called Kill Illuminati. What is your thoughts on that?
Allegedly?
We gotta say that legally.
Well, allegedly, there's about 8 other people that we could talk to that Quincy Jones probably made that same proposition to. So come on, man. Come on. These fucking sex rings in Hollywood, in the music industry and in the film industry, it's not a secret anymore. This is not a secret anymore. I don't even see why people are still surprised when the whole casting couch thing came and the Me Too movement was born and all that shit. They've been raping little fucking girls. Fuck. I said that shit years ago. They've been raping little boys. Russell Simmons. They've been raping them.
And, there's some stuff going on right now. I can't get into it, but that I felt like this Me Too movement was a giant CIA, psyop done to get people to fight with each other, pushed by white women in Hollywood who are born on third base, bitching about how they can't hit home runs, okay? Yet these same people tell us how bad Hollywood is, right? Meaning these women, not you, but these women never speak up when pedophilia comes out. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, my thing is, let's be fair right across the board, which we know they're incapable of being fair. So then if the Me Too movement is so fucking Me Too, how come they don't go after the pedophile priest in the Catholic Church? I didn't hear what you said.
I mean, they don't go after any pedophiles, man. I feel like only low-level, poor pedos go to jail as an act like, oh, look, we got these pedos. At the highest levels, I don't think they do anything. I mean, Penn State didn't lose 1 minute of football.
Right.
He blew up because he was the only rich guy that got caught up.
Right, exactly.
Someone else that's rich.
I mean, like, dude, Subway destroyed Quiznos.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but my thing is, if we're going to lock people up, then let's lock everybody up. I don't see none of these Catholic priests going to jail. You might have 1 or 2. They're sacrificial lambs, like Bill Cosby was a sacrificial lamb. And he's probably not going to do all this time. Right across the board, I think they use these kind of organizations because they're the ones that give birth to them. And they're the ones that set the people in front of the organization to lead and guide the organization so they can use the organization like the Me Too movement to do what they do. And right now, they already know they're coming after and who they want to lock up.
Yeah.
So if a few people get in the way, I feel sorry for them. If the R. Kellys get in the way, if the Nellies get in the way, if the
Nelly?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So I want to, as we've got a couple more minutes left, I wanted to talk to you about your benefit you're doing for Yemen on November 5th. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's a couple of companies in America, along with mainly one, Raytheon, along with a couple of other companies that do business with the United States government as far as military weapons, making bombs and other things. And we're just basically bringing attention to the foreign and domestic policies of the United States government, we're letting them know that we're not going to just sit idly by while you send your drones to bomb other innocent people in innocent countries, especially when those bombs are being made right here in the United States. So we're going to speak up and we're going to speak out, plain and simple. And that day we're going to name some of the names. So it's happening Tuesday, November 5th at 7 p.m. at Middle East, upstairs at Middle East, right there in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
And I mean, like, dude, everybody's yelling about the Kurds, and it's super sad about Syria. And Syria's all about a pipeline. Nobody gives a shit about gassing people. By the way, everyone's all mad about the Syrian government using chemical weapons, which was disproven over and over again. What about Agent Orange in Vietnam? What about chemtrails in the United States? Always, over and over again. We see the U.S. government use chemical weapons against their own people.
Right.
It's unbelievable. This Syrian thing is all about a pipeline. It has nothing to do with giving a shit about chemical weapons. I mean, Professor Griff, I want to ask you, how come I haven't heard anybody in the hip-hop community going off on Hillary and Obama about the illegal assassination of Muammar Gaddafi, which has led to open-air slave trade in Libya? That doesn't seem to be an issue.
It doesn't seem to be. A lot of foreign issues don't seem to be an issue when you are made to believe that the person that's coming behind them are a lot more evil and a lot more dangerous to the black community, i.e. Donald Trump. You understand what I'm saying? Keep your eye on certain individuals, while people like Barack Obama, which is he's called the drone warrior, who dropped more bombs and did more disservice to black people, along with the Clintons. So all the way around, black and white people, we need to raise our vibrational pitch, and we need to be a lot more studious, man. And we need to have these conversations daily, because they pull the wool over our eyes.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I can understand if you tell me go fuck myself. I'll respect that. But do you believe in psyops?
Of course.
I'm going to ask you a question, and it might not be my place to ask this question, but I'm going to ask this question. Within this country, we have a word that drives people into this thing, and it's the N-word. And the N-word was used a long time ago by white slave owners to discuss black slaves in America. And over time, somehow this word made its way into black culture, and it's a word that people call each other in the black community. It's along the line, I've been told, as dudes. And then if white people today use it, people lose their skulls. I in no way say I should ever have the right to say it. But I wonder if it's not at some deep and some really high level that was, in some think tank at some point, that word was put out through this system of control so that one group says it and then the other group doesn't. And this other group, if they say it, all hell breaks out. I do not want to say the word. It's not something that I want to say it. I would like to kill the word off because I feel like it is a word that brings a lot of infighting between black and white. I am not in any place in anything, any authority. I am asking you, do you think there's anything to this that it could be a psyop as a tool to use to get us to fight with each other? And if I've stepped out of my way, I will take that. Overstep my reach. I'll take that L as well. But I would like to ask you that.
Well, I truly are one of the ones that I have dialogue about everything under the sun. It is impossible to kill the word if we can't openly discuss the word. So I think in these kind of forums, we have to be able to be allowed to at least discuss the word, the implications of the word, the historical significance of the word, how they're using it in these psychological operations now and in the future. So you're not overstepping your boundaries. As a matter of fact, you're probably one of the brave ones that dare to speak up about the situation, to at least have some discussion about it, so we can at least instruct some people on how to deal with it.
Then I guess if you say the word, recently we had Chink and Kike. That, I don't feel like I just like when I was a kid, when I was very young, my next door neighbor Tony said to me, because I'm half Italian, and they go, if anybody ever calls you a wop, you fight them. And I go, why? He goes, I don't know.
That's the rules, right?
But we know why the N-word shouldn't be said. But in particular, like I just think there's a psyop aspect to it, because it's a word so prevalent on one side and so demonized on the other. And again, I'm not trying to say that the other side should be allowed to say it. I have a joke where I talk about the 3 times in my life I have been called the N-word. In my life by people, both black and white. But it seems to be the one word that, women hate the word cunt, but they don't call each other cunt.
They don't like the word what?
Cunt. Women hate the word cunt.
Like C-U-N-T?
Yeah. Like
that's some white people shit. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's some white people shit. What the fuck?
But the M word is a word that flows, and I know it's with an A and not an ER, and it's this weird, and it almost goes back to like political correctness has so much fine print to it.
You said what has fine print to it?
Political correctness.
Oh no, well you could figure that out real easy. I could take you to a couple of neighborhoods where you could try the ER and the motherfucking A and see what happened.
No, I know
hold on.
I know that.
No, I know, but we could really figure all that shit out in one trip. So those people that are saying that to you, they're full of shit and they're lying. That any word, whether it's ER or A at the end, is gonna carry the same weight in the hood. Plain and simple.
Respect.
It's gonna carry the same weight. You don't find too many of them white people saying that and trying it out now, do you?
No, I don't. I'm a bit. If you're asking me my opinion, if I find 10 random people and I go, how many of you hate black people? I would tell you probably none of them will say that. There are people at very high ends that are racist, but I think they hate everybody. Like someone who would hate Professor Griff is going to hate me too. I'm not allowed in their clubs. I just think that there's things that at the highest levels through these think tanks are put out to get us to fight with each other. I do not want to say the M-word. I talk about the time Paul Mooney called me the M-word and how, like, as a white guy, I kind of wear it as a badge. And when I banged this chick, she called me the M-word, and I got hooked on it. I'm just being honest with you right now. So I don't like the M-word. I think it's ugly. I'm not trying to tell anybody who should and should not be able to say it. I just wanted to ask you if you thought at a high level there's some dark arts involved in that, and in the M-word, and black people calling each other the name that slave owners used to call them.
Right. I think part of what you're saying is absolutely correct. There is a psyops behind it. And I think linguistically speaking, being from a people that our language have been taken away from us, that name has been put among us. And to be honest with you, I got called nigga so much from white people. I thought that shit was my goddamn name. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then to turn around and have black people call black people niggas, I think that's out of ignorance because they don't know themselves. And they're suffering from a psychology of self-hatred, and they don't know their history. If they did, they would never call another black person a nigga. Plain and simple.
Well, this show is just a tiny show, but these are the conversations I think we need to have.
Exactly.
Because at my heart and hearts, man, I believe we are more alike than we are different. That the infighting between and dude, and 100% the history has been one-sided, dude. And I have no problems with it, admitting it and owning it. But I know about false flags, and we all know false flags happen. But why do false flags happen? Because they need our consent to do certain things, because we are the power. And they get us fighting with each other so much. And along race, when I think a poor middle class black man and a poor middle class white man have way more in common. Now obviously there are things that through the history, systematic racism that has happened in the legal system that has been done on purpose to break and destroy the black family unit. That's 100% real, too. But I feel if poor whites and poor blacks stop fighting with each other over nothing and start realizing the real power is them coming together, that is real power.
Right.
And I hope these conversations lead to that.
No. I think enough of the people having enough of these kind of conversations, they will have, but the right people having the right conversations is the thing. Like the D.O. Hughley's need to have the conversation. I wouldn't say the Steve Harvey's, but because he's over the hill, over the fence. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The right people need to have the right conversations, but we have to be bold enough to have the right conversations. How black people learned how not to use the derogatory terms when it comes to white people, we suffered. We got our ass beat for saying "waf" or "kike" or whatever. We suffered for that financially, and we suffered physically. So we went through it in order to learn those valuable lessons. And I'm sure some white people have went through it physically also, and lost some jobs and and led to almost financial ruin from using the N-word and that kind of thing. But we learn these lessons the hard way simply because we're not bold enough and brave enough to get on here and have an open discussion and conversation about it and put it to rest.
I agree, man. Hey, dude, I appreciate you spending so much time with us today. I appreciate your honesty and your truth. I want people to know that they can come see you live, okay, Tuesday, November 5th, at Middle East Upstairs. Where's that, in Boston?
That's Cambridge, Massachusetts, yeah.
Cambridge, Massachusetts. You can get tickets. Stop Raython, okay? It's a benefit concert. Tickets are available at ticketweb.com. The lineup is killer, diabolic. We want to get them Big Shug, Professor Griff, the whole group. It's going to be a day because we are complicit in a genocide right now.
Big Shug is going to be in the building. Black Medine, Woke, there's a few other people going to be in the building. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you ever make it out, Professor Griff, out to Los Angeles, but if you ever do, and you weren't completely weirded out by this interview, but we would love to have you in studio anytime you could. I appreciate everything you did. We'll put your flyer out on all of our social media, let everybody know, and we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
All right, give thanks. Really appreciate you guys, all right?
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Right. Good luck with everything, and good luck on November 5th. I hope our listeners all come out in hordes to help you out.
All right, take care.
Take care. Reed Becker, sorry I couldn't introduce you halfway through the show.
No, I slowly caught on that it was Professor Griff, and I was like, oh, this is great.
All right. That was a conversation because I'm doing a benefit concert with Diabolic, with Big Shug, Black Medine, Woke, and a couple of other artists here in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And it's to benefit the brothers and sisters in Yemen. All right? It's to benefit the brothers and sisters in Yemen. We start talking about foreign and domestic policies. Those of us that keep our finger on the pulse and what's going on not only in Yemen and in other places. I mean, we're dying. I know what you're saying. Well, we should be concerned about our people here, and we are. But we can't negate the fact that there are people dying. All right? In different countries. And if we're in a position to bring light to it, like some of the other people I feel that are in that have a much larger platform, and the only thing you hear about them is the popular news story. Well, this story right here is not popular. I don't even know when the last time Yemen has been in the news, or in the news feed, or in the news cycle. All right? So, I think it's a worthwhile cause. I think all of us should at least look into it and say, okay, what's going on? Why would Professor Griff go all the way up to Boston to do a benefit concert to support people way across the world? What's going on the foreign front that that we need to bring that much attention to it? I'd say it's very necessary that we do that. All right, very necessary. If you pull up what's going on in Yemen right now, and not only in Yemen, as far as what's going on with the Kurds, we only believe what we're told every night on these news channels. All right, but we have to be able to read between the lines of what they're saying on these live witness news teams. All right, and we have to decide for ourselves and make up our own minds in certain cases. All right. So if you look up Stop Raytheon Benefit Concert, Raytheon is the company that's working with the military to make bombs that they're dropping on our brothers and sisters in Yemen. The name of the company is Raytheon. Look them up. All right, and the benefit concert is Tuesday, November 5th at 7 p.m. at Middle East, upstairs in Cambridge, Massachusetts. All right. He said the jacket is fire. About the Marcus Garvey joint. Red, black, and green Marcus Garvey. All right. So for the few minutes that we have left, I will be going to Dallas this weekend. I'm not going to be speaking on the subject that y'all are seeing on the flyer, because I do think for desperate times call for desperate measures. These are desperate times, and we got to speak to the thing that's afflicting our people right now. And that's these cop shootings. All right. That's these white supremacists. All right. That's our unwillingness to stand up and put an infrastructure together where we defend ourselves. This is the thing that we need to talk about on Saturday in Dallas. All right? So I need y'all to meet me there at the Pan-African Connection at 1 o'clock. Soleil's doing her thing from 1 to 3, I believe. And then I'm speaking from 4 to 6. All right? In Dallas this weekend. Can I trust y'all to pass the word? All right? Can I trust y'all to donate a little something to the platform here? All right, so we can support independent media. My cash app is $ Professor Griff. Whatever it is that you feel you can donate. All right. Can I trust you to tell somebody to show up on Saturday? All right. Can I trust you to bring your energy? Can I trust you to bring your eyes and watch some of the government agents fill the room up that day? All right. If you would like to donate on PayPal, you can donate on www.paypal.me/Professor Griff Corp. Or just hit the $ Professor Griff, which is the cash app. Or go on my website, ProfessorGriff.me, and donate that way. But this Saturday in Dallas, Texas, I will be there. Soleil is going to speak to the sisters and some of the brothers earlier that day. All right. I want to talk about desperate times call for desperate measures. And we can't mince words that day. We got to talk straight to what it is, plain and simple. Somebody sent me a text message and said, do you think the police is going to start showing up at your lecture? Well, shit, the police are always there. They ain't going to start showing up. They sitting in some of the seats that y'all belong in. So I'm not going to come talking about Africa and the African diaspora and the melanated cryptocurrency and blah, 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 blah. Another subject for another time. All right? We gotta dissect and deconstruct the mindset that this officer had that put a bullet through that window and shot our sister. What mindset is that? That's what we need to deconstruct. These diabolical demons are walking among us, man. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That's what we need to discuss this Saturday. That's what I'm going to discuss. All right, whether you show up or not. Peace, Takara. How you feel, sis? That's what we need to discuss. And if you too damn weak need to come in the same room as I am to discuss this because you think somebody might take a picture or something, fuck out of here. Don't come. I'm asking y'all, those that are brave enough, even if you're in another city, if you're brave enough to share the flyer, share the flyer. But we need to talk openly. All right? Anyway. It's Professor Griff. I've been on here for 2 hours almost, letting y'all know. Now listen, there needs to be some healing among the brothers. It's probably one of the reasons why we can't come together to defend the sisters. All right? So Soleil said she was putting together a small tour together so she can at least address and deal with the sensuality and the sensitivity and the sensuousness of black women. Well, I'm going to be on that tour, so we need to call the black men together in the healing circles. All right? We need to call the brothers together because the brothers need to heal. All right? What's up, Martone? The brothers need to heal. Martone is doing her job. Me and Martone are doing this thing called I Am Man. Asking men to stand up and speak out. All right? We are real men. We need to take care of some real business. All right? Shout out to Curtis Cost with all the brothers and sisters that showed up this weekend to talk about vaccines. That's another way they're coming at us. They're making our children punch drunk with the vaccines they're filling them up with, and they're making the parents, us, the adults, punch drunk with all the drugs and alcohol. Nobody don't have time to think. We need to have an open discussion, brothers and sisters. Plain and simple. All right? Desperate times call for desperate measures. All right? We need healing circles for the men. And, of course, we need the healing circles for the sisters. All right? My phone number is 678-557-2919. I'll see y'all in Dallas this weekend. All right? Thanks to everybody on IG that stuck with me for 2 hours. Thanks to everybody on the Sirius Mindz platform on YouTube. Shout out to Quan. Shout out to Shane Shakur. Shout out to everybody on Facebook Live. Really appreciate y'all. I will see y'all. Well, I won't see y'all tomorrow because the Sister Cipher is on. But I will see y'all on Wednesday on the mic check 1212. And I will see you in Dallas this weekend. All right? Make sure you donate to support independent media. My Cash App is $ Professor Griff. If y'all can send food stamps to the Cash App, I'll take those too. All right? It's Professor Griff. All right? Keeping it $1, man. All right? Desperate times call for desperate measures. All right? Peace, man. It's Professor Griff. I'm out. Peace. The vaccine was given at another location because CI7 shut it down. Al Sharpton's people didn't want them in the building, so we had to shut it down. We'll talk about that on Friday. Peace. Everybody on Sirius Mindz on YouTube, peace, man. Gotta go. All right. Y'all always support, and I really appreciate that from y'all. Thank you. Peace. I gotta go.